Good morning. I want to start off today with couple of fun facts. I want to start off today with the story of the Aflac duck and Duke the dog from Bush's Baked Beans. These are two fun facts that I picked up this morning. Aflac, first Aflac. So this art director, I assume he either worked for Aflac or an ad agency that was working for Aflac. So I mean, he worked for Aflac either way. Eric David, one of those, Eric David, let's just go with Eric David. Eric David was trying to formulate the idea, the little campaign slogan or stick for Aflac, and he just kept saying Aflac. He just kept repeating the word Aflac. And kind of hit him that Aflac sort of sounds like a duck quacking, and there it was. That was the origin. The pitch was made and the duck stuck. And another sort of little interesting tidbit that I read about Aflac is that Ben Affleck, the actor, is not a fan of the company because gets mistaken for Aflac all the time. I don't know how. I don't really understand anything more than just like, hey, are you with the company Aflac, or is that your family's company? I get that, but anything more, and I wouldn't think that would be a big deal. But I think it mentioned that he was sort of perturbed by it all, like it's been annoying to him. So if it's anything beyond that, I don't know. Like I said, the company himself being associated with the company. Next one, Bush's Baked Beans. So Bush's Baked Beans started in 1908 by A.J. Bush and his sons. Well, the 1995 ad campaign for Bush's Baked Beans, the ad agency that was working for Bush's Baked Beans, they thought that, I think I said, no. I don't know if his name is A.J. Bush. A.J. Bush, I think, is the founder. Or maybe A.J. Bush is the great-great-grandson. Whatever. Okay, so the ad agency decides that the great-great-grandson of A.J. Bush and his dog, Duke, would be great cornerstones of the marketing campaign. So they set that out. And I don't know if the great-grandson was working for Bush at the time, but they thought these two are going to be perfect for to kind of build the brand off of. Well, Duke the dog, he was really a part of the Bush family. He was owned by great-grandson Bush. Is what I'm calling him. And or he was the owner. And the problem was Duke was camera shy. He really couldn't get on camera and do the commercials or whatever spots that they were trying to get done. And so they had to get a stunt double, just another trained golden retriever. So the dog you saw in those commercials was definitely representing a dog that great-grandson Bush that he did have, but it wasn't his dog. So a little, I don't know if you call that truth in advertising, but I don't think that's a big deal. It's just, to me, that's kind of funny, all right, there's your little fun facts for today. My to-do list for today is simple. I'm going to the cave and I'm filling bags because we are out of our 8-ounce packages for stateside. We're completely out, and we got to get more. That's all there is to it. We got to get more. And so I started off today. I was at the lab. I went to the lab because I forgot my voice recorder, my little handy dandy voice recorder that is all of a sudden, I guess, crucial to me making these videos. It's not necessarily needed when I'm in the lab or doing production because I've got the camera right there. But in the car is a little bit more. It's a little more important. So I had to go to the lab. I started off at the lab, got their voice recorder, and I'm headed to the cave now to get some filling done. I've got a few issues, so last night I was at home and I was going to be putting the Amazon FBA stickers on the 8-ounce bags because, not to complain, but our Amazon group kind of dropped the ball on that one. We had all the packaging done, and at the last hour after printing had taken place, they said, "Oh, by the way, these UPC codes that you bought, they're not going to work." Man, guys, that is a pain now. Because now every single bag, I have to now put a sticker on it for every single bag. I've got to print off a sticker on a little thermal printer, and I've got to put it on the bag. And that could have all been avoided. We could have just printed that. That's wasted time and money. Anyway, I get home last night. I get the kids down. My wife is at a club soccer meeting. Our oldest daughter is doing club soccer now. Yay. Just kidding. It'll be cool. And I finally get the kids down. It's like 8:15, or maybe 8:30. I'm starting to print labels off. I'm getting the thermal printer going. I start putting labels on bags, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just make sure that this is the 8-ounce bag. Let me just verify. Trust but verify. And I take a quick peek at the front, and what do you know? It's the 12-ounce bag. So I've already done like 10 bags at this point. Took all the labels off, put the bags back in the bag, and I didn't have any 8-ounce bags. I hadn't brought any home. So I got to do some at the cave today. I think I might already have a number of them that have already been labeled, I hope. I don't know. We will see. Maybe I used all of them. So now today, this is why I do this at home. Like, I don't want to spend time doing that kind of stuff at the cave. Like putting labels on bags, something that could have easily been done elsewhere. I'm going to the cave to fill. That is the only thing I'm planning to do there today is fill. And I'm going to set up some cameras so we can do more of this. So I can, make some marketing content and all of that. So that's my to-do list for today. Go fill bags. I don't know how many I want to get done. I'm thinking 200 would be fantastic. That would be a really good day. It's not that crazy to do 200 either. Especially if we don't check weigh. Probably shouldn't tell you that, but check weighing is definitely the thing that can hold things up pretty substantially. Because again, you got to weigh every single bag. Now, if we had a check weigher, that wouldn't matter. We just reject it. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to add there. I think that covers it. So what I will do is when I get to the cave, I will get things back going again and start to get set up, and we'll turn the camera back on. We'll get going. Forgot my mounts. I got a chest mount. I think I don't know where it's at. Maybe it's in the car somewhere. But I have my neck mount, and the problem is I don't have the under straps that kind of secure it to my body. And so it flops everywhere. Doesn't sound great. It moves around, and when you're physically doing things, that's not going to make for the most appealing. It's not great for viewing because everything's shaking. So I don't know. Maybe assuming I can get that chest mount on there, okay. Or I should just say, assuming that I can be filming up there in a reasonable. I'm not moving too much, I'm not, gyrating the camera, then maybe any of those little sort of things here or there that are overly over movement, that they can just be edited out. Or maybe I do the chest mount and I can use that. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm giving you too many behind the scenes details that you probably don't care about. All right, let me just stop the camera then, I guess, and I will see you there. See you out at the cave doing fill day part 2. All right, see you. It's about 3 o'clock, and this is how many bags we've filled on fill day number 2. Ready? 0. We filled 0 bags. Shocker. I want to show you why. Okay, I want to show you why. So here's our all fill right here. Okay, you've seen this before. We have an issue with this. Well, it's not in here, but what goes in here is called a prox switch. This guy Okay, we got an issue. So I'm gonna show you what that issue is. I'm gonna go into POV mode. I'm kind of already there, aren't I? We're gonna look at the electrical box back here. I'm gonna show you some terminals. Turns out that when I thought that there was an issue with the power, like 3 weeks ago, I was wrong. There was an issue with the power, but not system power, not facility power, but unit equipment power. So I'm gonna show you that now. Let's go look at the off-fill. Let me show you exactly what's going on here with the all-fill. Again, here's your all-fill. This is called a prox switch, P-R-O-X, I believe. Now look, you can see these 3 prongs right here. And those prongs are correct. They're the way they should be. The problem is they got bent, and they only go in a certain way. They go into this guy right here, all right? And they only go in a certain way. They have to go in essentially like so. And what happened is they got bent at a certain point. Probably was me that did it. Could have been someone else. I don't know. I'll take blame for it. That's how it's supposed to look. And then it screws right into there. Should screw it in before you put the yellow cable, level control cable on it. But at any rate, look at that picture of those bent prongs, and that probably caused the prox switch to go faulty, to become defective. And I called All-Fill, went through a few different calls with them, and they said, look, and that's what I thought. I said, hey, when I first called them, they said, look, it's probably your prox switch. There's a green light that's supposed to come on right here. Because I said, look, there's no control power. See, look, this is where the control power is right here, or the little warning. They said, there's no control power. You know, there's no trip breakers or any power issues. And I said, oh gosh. Well, you know, doesn't have to be any breaker issues. It's probably your prox switch. Little idiot, I'm sure you don't even know what that is. Just kidding, that's not what they said. But the prox switch is what they indicated would be the likely issue. This guy right here, which I've showed you, okay? So I went and I looked, and of course is the right word. The little prongs in here were bent, and so I knew there was an issue, that, you know, they were right, of course. And so we got them back, we got them straight, and still didn't work. And so I called them back and I said, look, prongs were bent. I think that's probably our issue. And they said, oh, that's definitely your issue, or most, like 99%. That can cause bending those prongs can cause the whole switch to become defective. Just to be sure though, you can always go back into the electrical box, check the terminal blocks. If you're getting 24 volts of direct current on that level control, i.e. the prox switch, then it is definitely your prox switch. So I went ahead and ordered a couple more of these. Always good to have spares. Anytime you're running equipment, always have spares. Make sure that parts going down or issues, with your equipment where you need a spare part is not going to cause your whole line to shut down. Because right now I can't fill anything. I cannot fill anything until this is fixed. Okay, actually, you can go around it. I believe if I were to take this out, this little yellow wiring right here, of these terminal blocks, it's the terminal blocks on there are 100, well, I'll show it to you in a second. It's 100 501 and 100 500, which is that guy right there, and then this guy, you can't really see it. Those are your blocks. So one side of the prox switch is on 501 or 500. Nope, wait, that's 500. And then one side of the prox switch is on 501. So I couldn't tell which wires were which. So what I did is hold on. There we go. So what I did is I went through every single terminal on. So I started it basically, I started at the top of 100 500 and then went through every block on 101 500. 100 501. And then once I confirmed 24 volts direct current, I just went down the line on 100 500 until basically I counted every single terminal. And of course,
I confirmed that everyone was 24 volts of direct current. So look, right now we're at alternating current on our multimeter. We'll change that to direct current. There we go. Okay, look. So I'm just gonna give you one example here, just how I verified. All right, so hold on, I think I've got this right. Let's go red on that one. Okay, there we go, look. 24 volts. 24 volts on your direct current on that block, okay? And we did that on every single terminal. So we verified that there's no power issue coming into the prox switch. And so indeed, this is our issue. We've got 2 of them coming tomorrow. Should be here by 10:30 in the AM, and hopefully we'll be up and running. So fill day number 2 was not fill day number 2. It was me discovering that there was no power. Listen, you remember when I went through this a couple weeks ago, I was talking on the phone with my electrician, going back and forth, trying to figure out power. I think I recorded all that. And I'm like, no, there's no power. This is the problem. Turns out, like, I was just jumping through unnecessary hoops, determining that, yeah, there was power. It was this guy that had the issue. But you know what? That's how you learn things. You learn things sometimes the hard way, and sometimes that's the good way. Okay, let's see here. Where's my screwdriver? Let's put this guy back on. Let's put this guy back on. 460 volts. It's a lot of voltage. A little too much for my liking. It's gonna be making me feel a little too saucy in the morning, you know. I don't really want 460 volts going through me. Not this, not now, not ever. My screwdriver. All right, here we go. It's an old-fashioned flat. Oh, hey, we got the flathead already on there. Man, dude, I'm starting to like that ratchet a lot. You know, there's something very satisfying about that. All right. Like, I feel like I can just go so fast. So I went to school at Ole Miss, hotty toddy, if you are a fellow Reb. And we have this highway in Oxford called the 6, and there's the 7 as well. But we got the 6, which is more widely used than the 7. Anyway, you know, game day weekends or just any time it's a college town, there gets to be a decent amount of traffic in Oxford. But you got this highway that surrounds the town, and that highway is mostly, it's mostly free and clear. And so a lot of times you jump on the 6 and kind of head to whatever side of town you want to, and it might not be any quicker than just going through, you know, taking Jackson or going through the square, going through the campus. But I'll tell you this. There's something to be said about moving freely on a highway or a road without traffic, unobstructed. There's something to be said about that. Even if the time is a little more than sitting in traffic, there's something that feels better about that. Perception is reality. Bringing it back to this guy. There's something about that ratchet that maybe it's not any faster than just screwing it, but it feels faster, it feels good. And you know what? Sometimes that's all that matters. Sometimes a perception innovation is a major innovation. All right, that's it for the all fill. I'm kind of done for today out here because I'm not filling anymore. I'm gonna pause the camera and kind of just think about what I need to do right now. I don't really know, and I know if I keep the camera on, I'm just gonna wander around aimlessly, kind of talking, not doing anything. So I might turn it back on in a second, but at least let me sort of figure out what I'm doing, what I need to do rest of the day. And then if I do figure that out, which there's a good chance I will, I'll turn it back on and we'll keep this party going. No more to check in with you on. I decided there's nothing left to do here. There are things left to do, but I'm gonna do them in the morning, mid-morning, get a little workout in and then come back in here. I'm not gonna be filling tomorrow. I'm gonna be putting that new prox switch on, getting things ready, and then maybe Friday it's gonna be filling. My wife really wanted to be out here with me to fill, and the reason she said not tomorrow is because she's not as optimistic as I am that tomorrow will be good to go. So they'll give me a day to kind of get things ready anyway. So Friday is fill day number 2. And I think that's it. Maybe I'll check in with you at the lab tomorrow before I come in here. Certainly tomorrow. when I get out here. But okay, that's it for tonight. Everyone have a good night. See you tomorrow. Take care.